Dear Mama, take time this Mother's Day to honor your friendships, those who have expanded you, stretched you, gave you grace, trusted you, elevated you. We come here to be seen and loved. And I'm so grateful to have friends, Black women in my life who see me. In this episode, Thea and I share the genesis and evolution of our friendship and the challenges. One of the reasons I'm grateful for this podcast is because it always gives me exactly what I need when I need it. And this week, feeling unseen and deep in grief as the anniversary of my father's death approached, and seeing Mother's Day on the horizon left me with a trail mix of emotions. And I needed this episode. I needed to see the love and trust active in my life holding me. Our intention is that this episode allows you to see yourself and all the women pouring into you. As always, thank you so much for rocking with us. Don't just listen, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms at Dim Black Mamas Podcast so you won't miss a moment of the magic. Please keep emailing us, keep engaging with us through social media comments, your reviews, and SoundCloud comments. Keep sharing us, even if it's only with one person. If you're a new listener, welcome to the ride. If you're a newbie or an OG, become a magic maker by joining our email list by visiting dimblackmamas.com. We've got some really exciting things in store for our magic makers. Now, let's get free, y'all, and jump into episode 44 of
Dim Black Mamas.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the ride. The mothership has landed, and you're inside the Black Mama Magic Room with the greatest podcast on earth. I'm Crystal Tennille Irby, mother of four, three boys and one girl.
And I am Thea Monye, mother of three girls, and our co-host Nikisha can't be with us today, but she is a mother of three girls.
So we'll get to the mac and cheese segment where we're going to talk about friendship and motherhood. And it's funny, I think that our relationship grew around your pregnancy and motherhood because I started coming to your house for we would come over and watch Top Model, America's Next Top Model. And you were like, I just need somebody to stay up with me and these kids because they were both.
Yeah, she was 18 months when Talani was born.
She was like 18 months. And so I just thought about that. Like our relationship grew around you needing some support during that time in your life.
Because all my other friends was headed out to the club.
Yeah.
So I was like, people got to come to me because I can't go out.
Yeah.
I can't be out at the club.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why.
I mean, I can, but that's frowned upon.
Why wasn't I at the club? Because I was young in my 20s.
That's the truth.
I don't know. I think
what? Why was I with this pregnant ass woman at her house instead of watching Top Model instead of out of Crystal? These are good questions.
Okay. I was single, clearly. So I don't know.
No, but you were also celibate during that time.
That doesn't mean you can't go to the club.
It doesn't, but it just means some things might have shut down.
Yeah, you're less likely to probably.
I think, you just may not have thought about it as a place to fortify that celibacy.
That's true. So friendship and motherhood.
And Black women.
I feel like I needed friends more than ever after I had children. It's funny. I felt like I needed friends more than ever after I had children, but I felt like those friendships were harder to maintain.
Yeah, especially if your friends don't have children. Because I was the first in my friendship group to have kids. And so I could literally hear them walking past my door because we lived in the apartment across from a friend, and so I could literally hear them going to the club. And I used to be like out with them, partying with them, and there was no one in the circle to understand that transition. It's so funny because now they say to me, a lot of my friends say to me, "I hear your voice."
It's true.
In my head all the time.
It's true.
Because I was the first one. So a lot of my friends are like, I can hear your quotes in my head, like about, being in there, putting a baby to sleep, folks is getting cute and going out and just feeling out of the loop.
I never knew you felt that way.
Oh, yeah. It led me to have a new group because that group I had grown up with, since I was very young, since I was like 5. And so everything in life had been timed together. We went to the same high school. We went to college at the same time. This was the first thing that was like, not all of us were doing it at the same time. And so they're like sisters to me. But they couldn't relate. And I was thinking about some grown ass shit at that point because I had kids. And and I was young. Now I think of it as very young. I totally didn't think of it as young at the time. I was 23. So,
oh my God.
It made me have to have a new friendship group who didn't necessarily have children, but they were adulting in a different way.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think we were just thinking about life in a different way because you were 23. So that would have meant that I was 27 because we're 4 years apart. So that's why I wasn't at the club.
Yeah, you was 27. You had done all your clubbing.
Club. Let me tell you something about Tallahassee, Florida. Okay, I don't have no qualms when student loan people call me.
She always says, "I had a good time.
I lived my dream. I had a good time." Even now, our daughter goes to FAMU, and so we go back and forth to Tallahassee often. And Rashad is often like, "You're so happy when you hear." Like as we're approaching the city, he's like, "I can feel like your mood change. Like you like smile the whole time that we're there." So it was a good time. But I never knew that you. Yeah, I never knew that you felt like disconnected.
There was so much going on. There was that I wasn't aware of that was going on. My self-awareness was very low, and we got married and had a baby very quickly. So all of it happened so quickly that I think that I didn't transition. And when I look at the common thread throughout my life, through all my changes, the common thread for me is friendship. I was very surprised to know women have bad relationships with women because I always had such great relationships. And I even have a friend named Kisa that I met when I was 2. Shout out to Kisa. Like that was my first friend in the entire world. So I had relationship with women very young and very strong and very permanent. They didn't change or shift. Or the Rat Pack, I started meeting the Rat Pack between ages of 5, 6, and 7. And we literally, to this day, can claim 33-year-old friendships, And so I thought that was so normal. Like I didn't know that people changed friends so much that they got into it with women. When I first heard people say, women say, "I don't have no female friends. I don't hang around women.
I don't hang around women. I don't have no female friends." That's a red flag. If a woman does not have a female friend, that's a red flag. And someone even said if a woman who's in her 40s does not have female friends that she's known for over, I think it was like 5 years or something like that, then
but and I've come across situations where that's happened, and it happened by a series of events that weren't even necessarily within the person's control. Maybe they immigrated to the country. Maybe they, they moved.
In South Carolina, we don't think about immigrate. We don't think about
but they move. They move for different reasons.
Everybody was born in the United States. We do not. We like, "What? You're not from here?" Like that's how we respond when someone
some folks grow up with a lot of siblings or a lot of cousins, and so those are your friends, and you don't really have a lot of extra. I've talked to women who they said it's really difficult in their 30s and 40s to make new friends.
I'm sure
they're already kind of grouped up.
So I grew up with 2 sisters, and I'm not joking. I have 22 first cousins. Like it's not a joke. Like I'm not like I got 20 something. No, I really have like 22 first cousins. And my mom has sisters. And so my sisters and I have no sibling rivalry. Like there's none. Partly because I think everybody knows their birth order and respects it.
Yeah, y'all are really good about that. Y'all are really good about that. When you see Crystal with her siblings, okay, so on here, Crystal's like, she's take charge. She's like very in your face. When her siblings are around, you're like, "Oh, bitch, you're the youngest," because you're You the one who got the heels of the bread. You know, you the one who got the heels of the bread. Your
Yeah,
sandwich is made with the
yeah,
heels of the bread.
yeah,
But what was left,
yeah. And you never knew that there were
you didn't
other
know. Yeah.
options. Like you're like, oh, this isn't like how the bread is. Like this
You are
is
the like Crystal. All these opinions that Crystal normally
what you
has
get.
and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like gone.
Mm-mm.
When I went for her
Mm-mm.
wedding, I was like, "What? Who? What is happening?" It was so
Oh my
shocking.
God.
And even when
Yeah.
Crystal tried to like, because it was her wedding, like assert herself,
Assert
it was viewed
myself.
as who
Right.
the fuck does she
Right.
think she is? Like it was just like you done forgot the order even on your wedding day, you know.
You forgot the birth order. But there's no sibling rivalry between us. My sisters and I truly support each other and what we do. And my mom modeled that behavior with her sisters. So when I was in high school and began to be what's now known as bullying, I didn't even know that's what it was then, but just being harassed by girls, like girls would call my house and hang up like 20 times in a row or ride by my house and call me a bitch, just like all kinds of stuff. And it really blew me. And I really didn't understand it because I was like, well, wait, what did I do? Like, and I had a lot of accomplishments in high school, but I felt like, hey, a win for me is a win for all of us, right? Because that's how I was raised. Think like my sister was the second grandchild of my grandmother's grandchildren to graduate from college. And everybody came to her
We
graduation
did
because
it.
it felt like it was a win for all of us. We did it. Like that's how we felt. And so when I experienced bullying and harassment from specifically Black women,
Mm-hmm.
I was like torn apart. Like there were days that my mom was like, okay, you don't have to go to school
Mm-hmm.
today. I know you hate it. You don't have to go. Like I missed so many days my senior year that I had to go to Saturday school because that's how much I hated going to school because I just didn't understand why people didn't like me. Like all of the things that my family and my sisters celebrated me for, sometimes I was ridiculed for. Not all Black girls, but when it came from Black girls, it
Right. It
was
was
it was
different.
very it was
Yeah.
very jarring to me
It
because
was
I
very
didn't
different.
experience that in my family at all. And so it was very, very jarring for me. And when I would hear girls say, well, I like to hang around guys more than
Yeah.
girls, to
Yeah.
me, that's a sign of self-hate. I remember when Shayera said that when she first started living with us, and she was like, well, I don't like girls. And I was like, you don't like yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You're a
Mm-hmm.
girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I really made her like check that about herself. I don't do the language girls are harder. I don't do that language because that's
Yeah.
self-hate to me. And so like you, when women start having problems, though that's very
Yeah.
jarring for me to have a problem with a woman in a friendship. It's very jarring. Or meanness and jealousy.
I think maybe like one or maybe two. And if it's two, I can't even remember who the second one was. Friends that I've had to like let go of. One I can't remember. I may, but I feel like it's two. But I just the reality is I can't even remember who the second one would be. That's crazy. But out of that,
Mm-hmm.
even along the way, because I had that base of good friendships, I was able to only pick up meaningful friendships. Different people who came after. I don't know how people do it without female friends because men will drive you fucking crazy. You have to have a checkpoint where
Yeah.
because literally you
Yeah.
could be going at it with a man and then you call your friend and she's like, bitch, you ain't crazy. But when you're talking to him, you feel absolutely crazy. Literally, I could tell y'all the truth. We have saved each other's marriage countless times. We have saved each other's marriage countless times because in many ways,
This is
we're married
this
to
is true.
the male versions
This
of
is
each
true.
other.
This is true. Tia's husband is totally me.
Yes. And I was like,
She'll
oh my
call me
God.
complaining. I'll be like, well, I mean, I kind
Or,
of.
or, or sometimes I call her complaining, and she's like, "Oh, that sounds like something my husband has been saying. Maybe I should." I wonder if he feels this way, but
Let me
no, it's really, it's
check
like
my
literally, we literally. I don't think these men know how often we save each other's marriage.
marriage. Well, you said you had to find a new friend group. So I want to talk about
Mhm.
shifting friendships. So, like for me, I used to have like,
Right.
okay, these are my artsy friends. And my artsy friends didn't mix with like my other friends or like my family because I felt like these two groups kind of don't understand each other. And it wasn't until like recently that I was like, I have to make,
Yeah.
like, everybody
Yeah.
has to be a part of my life. Like, if I have a birthday party, I want all of them,
Present.
in the
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think there wasn't a lot of awareness at the time that that's what I was doing. But one, that first group, like the Rat Pack, like they're on a level that's not even
Mm-hmm.
about friendship. They're completely family. So that is never literally going to change in my life. So with that solid, I was able to explore different parts of myself and know that meeting new people who fortify, like say the artist I was
Mm-hmm.
becoming or the mother I was becoming, was okay. Sometimes people are threatened by new friends, but I've never been a really territorial friend like that. I feel like I contribute what I contribute, and I know other people will be contributing to that person
I'm a
as well.
territorial
But some
friend.
people get you're a territorial
I'm
friend.
a
You are a
territorial friend.
territorial. You're a territorial person. You're a
Am
territorial
I a
person in general.
territorial? Am I a
Remember, you just got on. You just got on Talati the other
Oh
day
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah. I am. Yeah. You can't have my spot. Yeah,
you can have her spot.
I'm like Eddie King Jr. You can't have
Have
my
my
spot.
spot. But wait, but I be thinking like, can nobody take my spot?
Yeah, I just don't like that.
Which
I
is
don't
so. These are
like.
two different things, right? So it's the same idea, but it's like flipped, right? So because my thing is
No,
like,
one
okay,
is
well,
based on insecurity. Mine is totally based on. No, let's call it what it is. Now it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Mine is based on insecurity. Like, she live in LA, so they gonna be hanging out
no,
more.
let
They
me
gonna
tell
be
you,
kind of
like,
like,
because
yeah.
Chris and I usually talk every morning, but lately it's been like
And I've been
I
feeling
have
some type of way because I know that she's going through this spiritual expansion and she's gaining like all these new spiritual friends. And I'm just now starting to work my steps.
people have realized that morning is like my freest time,
Right,
and
right.
so
And people been
you know
calling,
people be calling, and so
during my time.
lately. I was like, I gotta fix this because if Krista don't
I'm
get her
telling you.
morning
So what did I
calls,
start doing? I was like, well, she's on this spiritual journey, so let me start praying more. Let me start getting my spiritual self together
like, what shows
because
do you have?
she's
What
going
shows do you have?
deeper.
Oh God.
She's going deeper. She's
Oh
meeting all
God.
these new deeper spiritual friends. So, I got to get my spirit because I'm on the path, but I've been like superficial, like just taking the good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
And
So,
I be in the
this is
and I
real
be
talk.
flogging. I be
Real
flogging myself.
vulnerable here.
I
I
like
mean,
prostrates.
I mean,
Like I be doing all that work. I be like, take it out if it ain't right. Take it out if
I'm
it ain't
being,
right.
I'm being real vulnerable here. I'm being real vulnerable. And then somebody out there who
No,
feels
it's
the
real.
same. You're like, oh
Somebody.
God, my
This
friend's
is
leaving me. My friend's leaving me. Let me get
get my
myself
shit
together.
right.
I done bought all these books. Like, oh, I've been slacking. I haven't bought the books Cynthia told me to buy. And so when she wasn't calling, I was like, what's going on? Like, did something come up spiritually that our friendship is
No, it
no,
really, I just wasn't talking much in general because I came back from,
right. And I didn't know that. So that's the list. You got to communicate with your
no.
friends when you're going through a transition
But you know
because,
how I am around my birthday already. And then on top of that, I had the,
I know, but I'm the one person that you
that's
talk
true.
to during that
I just wasn't talking. So, okay, this is a good point though. Like, how do people deal with jealousy in friendships? Because I'm not a jealous friend.
Well, this is my move. I'm territorial, so I'll be like, well, I'm just gonna make friends with them. I don't come in there starting. I
They
don't come in
start
there
no
starting
stuff.
no trouble. No. That's the wrong
That's the
move.
wrong move.
That's
Okay,
not
wait, listen. These are tips, people. These are
yeah.
tips. You don't come in.
These are
You don't
tips.
come in showing
Don't
out
come in
with the
starting no
older
trouble.
friends.
Yeah, don't be coming in talking shit about that
This
person
is
or
important.
whatever. Like, don't do that. What you do is you make
You know what?
friends
I never
with the
realized
older
this was a
friends. And
strategy, bitch. But when I think
that was
about
my
it,
strategy.
you have friends with all my friends. When I think about it,
I'm friends with all your friends. I'm friends with all your friends. That's what I do.
That's what
And
I
so when you
do.
look at it,
That's what I
you're like, oh, I
do.
want to introduce you to the Rat Pack. I got my shit together and got
Oh
focused
my god!
and was like,
Because
okay,
the Rat
cool.
Pack is the holy grail. The Rat Pack
And
is
let
the
me
holy
what
grail.
happens is great thing happened was I really
Yeah, she really
connected
liked
with
you. Yeah,
somebody in
she really liked you.
the group. I was like, This is the
This is
person.
She really liked. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is it.
And Pam was like, this is so problematic. This friendship with you two is extremely problematic. But yeah, you don't go in
You
causing no
don't go
trouble
in
with the
cause no.
old friends. You don't do that. You come in humble as hell,
Yeah.
head bowed, just be like,
See, and
yeah.
I also think about like me and the P. The P was probably the next friend outside of the Rat Pack that I made. And the P and I have been friends now for over 15 years.
I
Yeah.
love her.
And, oh yeah, but because the P, they used to say we were two peas in the pot. The P was like everything I wasn't. Like the P was like assertive. The P would tell you straight up. Like she protected me.
That's one thing that I love about your friendship.
Yeah.
You have a diverse range of friends. Like
Yes.
you go
Yeah.
from the streets to the ivory tower with your friendships. My friendships is like next to the ivory tower. Like we're not in, but most of my friendships are ivory tower adjacent. But most of my friends are, most of my friends are sort of like the same type of people. And it's also because I see myself as like a nerd and I'm kind of quirky. That's another reason why I'm your friend, is because you're like a social butterfly. So I don't have to do the social butterfly work, but I can get the
Well,
results.
I'm like half social butterfly. What people don't know is like I'll be social butterfly and I go home and sleep it off for like.
Yeah, you will. But you're a lot like my mom. Like you will talk to people.
Oh,
like when you're
yeah.
in a place, I don't talk to I will go to a place and sit in a corner and you'll be like, Crystal, this is like a
No, yeah,
party.
and
Like you
Crystal
have
had
to.
to tell me, like, Crystal has to say, don't repeat this or don't do this because I'm a
Yeah.
sharer and I have no shame. I share all my experiences. So I sometimes assume other people feel the same way.
Thea is like Norm on Cheers. Like when she takes me to a food place in LA, she's like, oh, I want to take you to this food place in LA. When she walks in, people are like, oh,
Yeah.
hi, Thea.
I'm like that at
How you
Lush. I know all the
doing?
staff. I'd be like, hey, are you still chasing your dream? How you doing with that podcast? Yeah.
I can go to a place 1,000 times and never know a person's name. And Thea was like, I thought you came here. You don't know the people?
I know the
I'm like,
people.
I don't know. I just come here and get my shit and go.
I call everybody
And,
boo.
and I think that's why you have like such a diverse array of friends, which is a really, really good and beautiful thing. I don't have that. Like all my friends are sort of like in the same.
I mean, yeah, but I've also learned over the years. I love to bring women together. Like, I do my Black Doves dinners. I haven't done it in a while. I've been slipping. I've been so busy.
Yeah.
But I really love to bring the different, how you were saying, like, do we bring them together? I love to bring my different groups together. I feel like they contribute to each other. But one thing I noticed is a trait that I don't, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not present, but I'm not because I grew up with positive relationship with women, I'm not good at reading jealousy. And so I've had outside people tell me I'm not good at that.
Oh, she is terrible.
And I will people will be like, no, this person is jealous. And I'll be like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's not what that is. But other people will tell me like, no, this person, X, Y, and Z, even if the person doesn't say anything, my friends know me well enough to like pick up on different energies. And even when they say it, it's just really hard for me to believe because I didn't grow up with jealousy. And I think the world teaches women to compete. So I guess it is a natural thing that can occur in female friendships. But I don't even know how to address that. Like, I don't even know how that manifests or looks when someone, just because, part of that is my own self-worth history, right? Like of not feeling like I'm something to be jealous of.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Yeah, you're not a talk your shit kind of person. Like you don't talk your shit. You're not like, yeah, I've been on that poetry twice. Like you don't twice. You don't do that.
Twice. What did you say? Like, you're season 1 poet. Season 1 poet.
Yeah, I'm a season 1 poet.
But I didn't even know that. I didn't even know what that meant.
One of every single poetry show that's ever been created, homie. I'm season 1. Like you don't do that.
I didn't even know that was a thing until you told me somebody told you that.
That's a thing. That happened to me like a couple of weeks ago. My friend was like, why don't you name drop? And I'm like, what? Like there are people that I know in poetry that I could be like, oh yeah, I know him. Oh, I've been to the National Poetry Slam.
We don't think of it that way.
We don't think of it that way. And I'm not living off things that I did 15 years ago. I'm like, that shit was 15 years ago. Why would I? So I think that in that way it is hard.
And then the other thing I was thinking, like, I was like, but I'm nice to them.
Yeah, okay. So this was the thing. She comes into my house and I was putting on something. And she was like, "You always dress up. Don't you think that'll make people feel like standoffish?" And I was like, "So you think if you dress down that people aren't gonna talk shit about you if you dress down?"
Y'all want to talk about mind blown?
You were like, "So you think that even if I dress down, people will talk shit about me?" I was like, "Yeah."
She
I
said you could be the nicest
You can
person
be the
in the
nicest
world
person.
and people will still talk shit about you. And I was like,
Everybody says Beyonce super nice. People still
yeah,
talk shit about her. People still
like
talk shit
that.
about her.
That
Like,
was a game changer for me. Like I was like, that really? People really do that? Have you ever experienced though, like jealousy in a friendship? Like somebody you're friends with, you coming to terms like, oh, this person is jealous of me.
I can feel it, but it's never been said. It's not a malicious
Right,
jealousy.
right,
It's a jealousy
right.
like,
It's like envy.
yeah, like she's living the life that I said that I wanted,
Hmm.
and she didn't even want that life. And so what I do in those times is I'm still a friend.
Hmm.
Because I think that's real. So
Hmm.
I offer a lot of grace
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
compassion. Everybody's not going to go 100% after the life
Hmm.
that they want. And even if they do, I know that that's hard and it takes time and it takes courage and it takes time to build that courage and to build that faith. So I extend a lot of compassion and a lot of
Hmm.
grace in those situations. Now, if it becomes
Right, right.
malicious,
And you gotta
I cut
watch
the
that.
person
It's
off
it can
because,
flip so easily.
yeah,
It's so scary. It can flip so easily. And
yeah,
you know, we
yeah, it
get
can.
messages from our grandmothers like, "Don't bring him to your house. Don't tell your friends stuff about your man. Don't
Yeah,
like that's real talk." You can't brag on your marriage.
yeah.
You can't, But to me, I don't want to be around people who,
Yeah, I don't subscribe to that. Like, I feel like I can't not shine because you can't stand the light.
I
Like,
have
I
to be able to
can't.
be happy.
Yeah,
So you know what that means? That means your friendships have to be
yeah,
rooted in abundance. Because you have to have friends who believe in abundance, not lack. Because if they believe in lack, there will be like this feeling of like, if she has, then I can't have. But if people, I'm surrounded by people who believe in abundance,
oh,
and so
I'm
like
the
they
total
actually
opposite. I'm like,
celebrate.
if she got, then we got. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I be like,
I'm starting to wait. I'm starting to see the
is
codependency
it
in this shit
codependency?
that
Is
I
that
ain't never seen
codependency?
before. When you was like,
Is it
let me
codependency?
think about this. When I add it all together, I'm like, wait a minute, this bitch is really like, nope, we go up, you
Yeah,
go up, we up, we
because
down, we
that's how
down.
I roll. Like I roll like if
Yeah.
I got it, then we got it. Like if I got it, then I'm
Yeah,
sharing.
no, I really
And
believe that too.
so
But one thing I'm learning, in Ifa, there's different like stories, and there's like this one story that was shared. There was a story about a chief who was successful, and he used his success to build up the entire community, and most of the community prospered and was happy. But there were people who were resentful that their success was built on him, and they began to resent him for that. I never thought people would resent you for being the reason they elevated. Does that make sense?
yeah.
I see this a lot, though, I would say in romantic relationships, like people being resentful that you're the reason that they're elevating or prospering, as opposed to it coming from them directly. But I never thought about it in friendships as well. But I have seen that in romantic relationships.
Yeah, I think that that happens in
Mm.
friendships where you're working together. So you're working with one of your friends and a person is, they're shining or they're doing most of the work. So they're getting a lot of the credit. And so
Hmm.
insecurities start to come to the forefront. So even if the whole project is successful, you start to be resentful instead of being grateful and instead of focusing on, okay, well, what can I add to the project? Or how can I utilize
Hmm.
this project to do something for myself? But I really see that happen when friends start working together.
So I think the natural question that listeners would do, we're three friends that work together. So like, yeah, we I guess like we have to indirectly manage that too.
Yeah, it's difficult because sometimes you have to decide what's most important.
Yeah.
And so for me, like the friendship is most
Yeah.
important.
And also know that we don't always see everything that's going on, even if you work in close proximity, even if you're in friendships.
Yeah.
Know that there's
Yeah.
always like an unknown part, and so the safest thing to do is to assume the positive, and assume
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that either somebody's unaware of something, or something needs to be communicated, or just that like it may have absolutely nothing to do with you or whatever you're creating, you know? I mean, because the three of us have so many other things going on, right? That I
Yeah.
think over time our communication around DBM has improved, so that we're not having a lot of assumptions or what's this going on, things of that nature. But, you know, we also have three very different personalities, three different sets of needs, three levels of sensitivity,
Yeah.
three levels of expertise. Like, there's a lot to juggle there.
You have to know your space. Like, I know when I was working with you on The Mrs. and the Mistress, I was
Yeah.
like, Thea
Yeah.
is the executive producer of this project. And so
Yeah.
it takes a lot of trust to work with your friends. And I know that sounds really odd.
And let me tell y'all, before I picked that project, I had to think very carefully, because I had to know that they would be people who could let me lead.
Yeah, it takes a lot of trust. I came from a theater background, and so there were things that I was like, okay, well, I wouldn't have done it that way, but it still worked out. It's still
Mm-hmm.
and like you just have to trust, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to also be willing to let your friends learn on their own and know that hopefully you fostered a relationship that if they have a question or if they need something, then you're there
They'll
for
ask.
they'll ask you for that. I would venture to say that it takes a lot more trust to work with friends than it does to work with people you don't know, because I think when you work with
Yeah.
friends there's like this set of expectations
Yeah, that's
that you have.
unspoken.
And I
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I know I feel it with DBM. Like if I'm late
Mm-hmm.
with an episode, like I feel like, oh God, like what are they thinking about me? Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel extra pressure because I don't want to let my friends
Mm-hmm.
down, because my friends could be doing so many other great things and they're doing this thing with me. And so I don't want to let them down and then it impact the friendship. Whereas if I'm not friends with someone, sure, I don't want to let them down either, but it doesn't necessarily take anything away from my personal life. So I think it's a little bit harder to work with friends. Hey, Magic Makers, I just wanted to jump in right quick and let you know our Magic Evermore boxes are on sale now on our website, dimblackmamas.com/shop. The intention of this box is for Black mamas to honor the light within ourselves. The items inside the Magic Evermore box will allow Black mamas to soak up all the energy of the sun all summer and remind us of the importance of documenting ourselves, the power of manifesting the lives that we want, and to soften and pour into ourselves when our mothership hits rough waters. Items inside include a full Black Mama Magic card deck. So we've expanded our mini deck into a full deck. Our favorite incense from Smell Good Spa, a Magic Evermore picture frame, postcards, a gratitude jar, and the herbs jasmine, eucalyptus, and lavender, which represent healing, liberation, and creativity. And the best part of this is you're making an investment in yourself and in Dim Black Mamas podcast. And when you invest in Dim Black Mamas podcast, you're investing in a platform curated by three women who are actively creating spaces of healing, liberation, and creativity. So head on over to our website now and order your box by June 1st so you can get it in time for summer solstice, and the prices will go up after June 1st. This is a limited edition box, so don't miss the magic. Head over to our website now and order your box at dimblackmamas.com/shop. Again, that's dimblackmamas.com/shop. All right, let's get back into it.
I think for me, doing Mrs. and the Mistress, I remember when I had to tell you that poem sucked. Crystal had this poem. And,
Oh my God.
we were all
Oh
doing
my
a read
God.
through.
And I thought this poem was fire. We were doing a reading And Thea read her piece.
And quiet as it's kept, the reading was sort of staged so that we could address
It's
that
so
poem.
messed up. So yeah, because I had
I
sent it.
know.
I had sent it. I emailed
I
it. So
know.
Thea did her
Yeah.
poem. Kat did her poem. When Thea read hers, we were like, okay, that's good. That's great. That's dope. You know, like giving feedback. Kat read hers, same thing. Oh God, that's good. That's good. Dope. I really like this part. I really like this part. I read my poem, crickets.
It was rough.
And I was like, oh, you guys have any feedback? And they were like, no, yeah, we're just gonna move on to the next the next part of the show.
And let me tell you, it was a moment where
It was
that
so
project made me
terrible.
understand what it meant to be executive producer.
Yeah.
One, but two, after that, I'm gonna tell you the truth. It really helped me because when I do business, I do business. And if you're my friend and you do business with me, you have to understand there's two Theas. Because the part of me y'all know, the part of me that's on the Black Mama Creative episode, you know, we've alluded to that, the Monday way. That part of me, as a friend, I have zero judgment. I have zero, like, you know, hey, let's do what we do. I'm flexible. But when it comes to a project with my name on it, it has to be excellent. And I am a very different, much more assertive person in that space. And so, like, when we're talking about business, even Crystal, sometimes I've been like, look, Crystal, I mean, you're the EP, do what you got to do. And she'll be calling me as a friend, like, you know, what should I do? But I'd be like, yeah, you know, you're the EP. This is business. Like, my whole mindset is so different because when you're doing business, it's about the project. It's about the thing. All that extra will get in the way.
I'm going to give you a perfect
my
Def Poetry story. So Thea had an agent and she had already been on Def Poetry. And so she was like, well, give me your tape and I'll give your tape to my agent. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got my tape. Her agent calls me and her agent is like, yeah, we want to put you on. Like you can get on the show, but I need you to send me another poem, you know, because these poems, it's like I like them, but you know, they're a little hard. So we just want to see something.
I think they just wanted you to to cut down the time.
They wanted me to cut down, but he also wanted me to he wanted to see a diverse array of poetry because he felt like if they don't like this poem, I can show them a different side of you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what that's what he wanted. And he also wanted me to cut down the poem too. And I was like, I mean, these are the poems that I sent. This is the work that I believe in. I'm not going to compromise my artistic integrity just to be on the show. Like if the poems are good enough, the poems are good enough. And so he was like, do you understand? Like you can get on. Like I'm telling you,
watch all this go down.
You can get on. Just send me another poem, sis. Just send me another poem and just cut this one down. And I was like, this is what it is. So you take that to the table and then call me when it's time to tape. Thea calls me 5 minutes later. She goes, did you just have a 30-minute conversation with my agent about artistic integrity? And I was like, yeah, girl, they wanted me to cut down my poem. They wanted me to say something else. So Thea, it was early in our friendship, and Thea goes, Crystal, they're just really trying to help you. They're really trying to get you on. And I was like, no, Thea, they're trying to make me compromise my artistic integrity. So she goes, I'm going to have to be honest with you about something. And I said, what? She was like, number one, I'm not sending him any more information about you.
I'm not doing it. This is nothing you should know about me as a friend. If I give you a referral, because listen, one thing no one can say about me.
And this dude was booking a lot of people on Def Poetry. Like he booked a lot of people.
I was flying all over the country. One thing I would say about me, I can tell you honestly, I have really good relationships from the people who service my car, the people who do my hair. If I give you a referral,
you do,
and I get a bad report, or I find out that like you was like complaining, or you come back with, you will not get more referrals from me. You will not, because these are relationships. I got to go back to these folks embarrassed that I even sent your ass. I can't.
He goes, one, I'm not sending him anywhere about you. And she said, two, you're not getting on the show. And I
They
was
literally
like,
asked her to cut down the
I was
time
like,
on one of them.
you
That's
don't know
it. Like, can you
that.
just
Da, da, da.
cut it
She was
down?
like,
People were doing this left and right. It's television. She comes from that background. I have no idea how she didn't understand. It's television, right? But
I
oh my
felt
god.
like my artistic integrity was on the
And what did
line.
your
That's how
mama
I
say?
felt.
What did Edna Mae say?
I'm going to get to that. I said, this is a poem about sexual assault, and you're asking me to cut out pieces of my experience. And Thea was like, you're not getting on the show.
And then everybody
And
started
I
getting
was
their
like, you
calls.
never know. She's like,
Everybody started getting their calls.
okay. She's like, I'm still your friend. She's like, I love you, Crystal, but you're not getting on the show. So I talked to my mom, and I was like, yeah, mom, they wanted me to like, compromise my artistic integrity. And she was like, to be on TV? And I was like, yeah. And she said, well, let me tell you what's going to happen. I was like, what? I'm hoping she has something uplifting to say. She said, your friends are going to go and tape that show. Where they in New York? They're going to be in New York. I was like, yeah. And she said, and you're going to be sitting at home watching it, but you'll have your integrity. You'll have your
That's what
artistic
you, and that's what
integrity.
she had.
That's what you'll have. And I said, you don't think I'm getting on? And she's like, I don't even understand why you were arguing with the man. And I didn't see it as an argument. I even went with Thea to go help pick out her outfit. And I was like, yeah, I haven't got my call yet. And she was like, they're not calling you, Crystal. You're not getting on the show.
No, wait, that's what I'm saying. The other thing you have to know about Crystal is, and I admired it. Somebody else told me, but you don't think it's delusional? Crystal had this way of like, and I was like, oh, is that what it is? Crystal had this way of like, despite the evidence,
people were
despite
flying
mounting evidence,
out, and I was
people were flying out. She still
thinking
believed
I'm
she was going to
getting
get
a
a phone call.
call, right?
Yeah,
I'm in the
yeah.
shower one day. I take the phone in the shower with me because Deaf Poetry could call at any moment. I take the phone in the shower with me. The phone rings. I jump out of the shower and fall and hit my head on the door. Then it bounced to the toilet. But I still reach for the phone and I pick it up. And it was the student loan.
It was just so much. I don't even know how we got on this. I don't even remember how we got on this
And
subject.
let me tell you how we got on this. I called Thea and told her what happened. And this is when I knew we're going to be friends forever. Because you know what she said to me? She didn't console me. She didn't offer any words of wisdom or compassion. You know what she said to me? Bitch, I told you. We fly out tomorrow.
What do you want me to do?
Then I knew this person will call me on my shit. And that is why she is my friend. Because she will not pull anybody. She will call me on my shit. And that is why I love her to death, man. Because if I'm tripping, she'll listen to me and she'll give me like one chance to pull it together. And then she'll be like, bitch,
oh yeah. But I have to, you guys. Let me tell you why I have to. If I have to nip it very early with Crystal. I have to nip it very early. If you let it go, you cannot bring it back. You have to get her as like you be like, whoa, that's a bad idea right there. You have to catch it because she will go and take it and run with it, and then you can't. You just have to let it ride out, and that's really hard to watch.
She is serious about her connections because later on I was like, so I got a package together and I want to submit to your agent. And she was like,
No.
not through me.
No,
you can
not.
submit along the way that everybody else does,
No,
but not.
You won't go through me.
I'm
very
like,
serious.
I've changed. She's like, but I haven't. So no.
So
yeah.
Then what was it? There was another piece to that. Around the same time, I remember us having come because I watched Grey's Anatomy, Shonda Rhimes' first show.
Right. Oh,
and
this is another example.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, this is such a great show because the chief of medicine is black.
Yeah.
You know, the chief of general surgery is black. There's an Asian woman who is chief of cardio is black. Chris was like, yeah, but it's a white girl who is like the star of the show. And I was like, is the leadership? And I was like, I mean, yeah, but it's like her first show on and she strategically puts black people in all these positions of power. And like the next show, she's going to be able to, and Chris was like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, she put a white girl as a lead. She should have put black girl as a lead. And I was like, what? Now what I understand though, is this is when she was working at the Cross Cultural Center. And
no, that's not what it was. That's not what it was.
You wanted to be the lead.
What it was, that's number one.
That's number
two.
One. Okay, that's number one.
number two was, see how I got that? Number two was, remember I was working on a show called Boston Legal and I was an extra on that show. And Grey's had came on mid-season as like the mid-season replacement. Like they showed it mid-season. and it eventually replaced Boston Legal.
Oh, so you were
So
salty. See, I didn't know that.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
I was salty. I was salty. And Thea was just like,
I
I
did not
don't
understand.
understand why
Because one thing y'all
you're
need to know about me is I'm not salty. I don't get
so
salty.
no, you're not
I don't really
salty.
get
You don't
salty.
get
I don't
salty.
even
You don't
think
get
to get
salty. You
salty.
don't get salty.
I'm afraid saltiness
You
will
don't
mess up
get
my
salty.
karma. My fear of karma really drives a lot of stuff for
But
me.
see, that is why we're friends, because I feel like you need friends who balance you out. Like, you cannot have friends who will react the same way that you react in a situation. You really, really need friends who balance you out. Friends who will be like, pull up, bitch. Have
Oh
you
yeah,
ever
the
seen
pull up.
people and they walk out and you be like, they don't have
Yes,
no friends
yes.
because nobody told them to pull
No
up?
one told them that outfit wasn't right.
Nobody told him that outfit. Nobody called him and said, you shouldn't have said that, or you got to go back out and
This
correct
is
that.
true. This is another
You
reason friendships are important.
That's why it's so important. And it's really important as a parent, because as a parent, you have so much going on. Your reactions
Yeah.
are so fast. And if you're an artist and you're in entertainment and you're a parent, you got to keep all of that balance. And you really, really need friends to tell you, yo, you can't see it because you're in it, but this is out of alignment. Like, I'm so grateful that there have been times in my parenting that Thea has said, you know what? That ain't right, Crystal.
Mm.
Like, you got to really bring that back into an alignment, because when you're a parent and you're in it, it's so
Yes,
hard
it's
to
a
see it.
or in relationships, in any kind of relationship. But that's what I was going to ask you. So how do people know when the friendship's over? Yeesh.
Oh, ugh.
How do they know when like they have to like
I struggle
let
with that.
go?
I struggle with that because I'm a loyal person.
Hmm. Some people can do it so easily.
I'll go ghost on someone,
Hmm.
but it's difficult for me to verbally end the friendship.
So I can always feel when my friendships are going to shift. I don't really typically end. Like I got like two, one in my head. I feel like there's two, but I just can't remember the second person. So maybe there isn't two. Maybe there's just this one. I knew that one was coming to an end, like maybe 2 years before it ended, because there was something the person did. Like, there are some things that are very fundamental for me. You know, I'm a therapist too, so like red flags about people, like
Mm-hmm.
inconsistency in people's characters, or what I
Mm-hmm.
call, bitches in transition. I don't make friends with people who are in transition, who are like finding themselves kind of, because they're dangerous. Their center is
Yeah.
all over the place, and that means that like they may or may not move with integrity or consistency. And so it's no shade. Like, I mean, that's a part of life. I don't form bonds during that time because I know that they're dependent on so many factors. But so the one that did end, I didn't really end it. I allowed it to go away. But I knew 2 years in advance. Something the person said indicated to me that like that the relationships are all built on power and not on the things that I like my relationship to be built
Yeah.
on, which is like trust and like shared vision and space. Like I don't deal with relationships that are power control dynamics. I don't like to do that. So I knew this one was coming to an end. I think, and then some people would say they outgrow friendships. I feel like I leave the door open
That's
because
how
we're
I
all
feel.
growing at different rates at different times. So I don't mind leaving the door open. Maybe we talk less for a period of time than we usually do, but we come back around. I've had great friendships come back around. Recently, I've had two friendships that we never ended the friendship. We were doing different things. And so, the time just passed, but we've reconnected and we talk a lot more now.
I think growth is different from toxic. Do
Oh,
you leave
yeah.
the door open if you feel like the relationship is toxic? Like, do you still leave the door open, or how do you?
No, I don't think you can. I think the friendships that die are the friendships that were started for specific reasons. Like, maybe a friendship started as an alliance to deal with some shit at work. But once the job is gone, the alliance no longer needs to be there. Or maybe sometimes we attract friends for when we want somebody who will co-sign a specific behavior for a period of time. If we're drinking, we want somebody to drink with us. This is a drinking buddy. But what happens when you stop drinking? So I think a lot of those type of friendships that are based on a common behavior, a common place, sometimes they can fizzle out. You know what I mean?
I think there are friendships that I started at a specific time in my life that we're just in different places right now.
Yeah.
And I see that friendship as, and maybe I'm viewing it, maybe I'm looking through the lens wrong, but I see it as I don't see it as adding to my
Right.
life. You know what I mean? Like if you're my friend, like if you're someone who I call on, who I depend on, then I feel like you have to add some value to my life because I know that I'm going to add some value to your life. It has to be some reciprocity. That's what it is. Like friendships that used to be reciprocal because you started them at a certain point in your life, like high school or college, and now they're just not
Right.
reciprocal
Right.
anymore.
They don't feed
Like they're
you.
not they're not they don't feed me.
But do you end it, or do you like hold space for them to grow and like in the future?
It depends on the person. Like there's some people who I'm holding space for
Yeah.
because I know people held space for me when I
Right.
was pregnant
Right.
and used, and people held space for me and that friendship was able to come back around. But there's some that I'm wondering, like, is this
Yeah.
friendship
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
hard.
And
That is
it's
very
very
hard.
painful. It's
Yeah, that's
so
really hard.
painful. It's very, very painful because I don't want it to be, but I also see like it's such a
Yeah.
pull
Yeah.
on my
Yeah.
life. It's such a pull on my life. And I need all the energy I have to pour into my children.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that's what causes the shift. As you get older, you get a lot more decisive about where your energy goes because you ain't got as much. I mean, it's not as physical. Your energy's not as
Hmm.
physical anymore. A lot of your energy is more mental in different ways. And so I think what really causes the shift in the assessment of these friendships is aging and realizing that as your circle expands or as your focus on your purpose or what you want to accomplish in your life expands, you have to make tough decisions to start to close out certain accounts that aren't paying off.
Yeah. How do you do that though? Like what, like do you say something or do you just let the shift happen?
What I have people do in therapy is I have them do like an assessment. I have like this tool and I can send it to you so we can post it. It's like a healthy relationships and unhealthy relationships. And so I have like items on each one. So, some relationships have a little bit of both, but for the most part, if a healthy relationship will mostly have the healthy traits and an unhealthy one will have the. And so it's things like, when the person calls, are you like, before you answer that call? Because it's going to be
God,
like,
yes.
it's going to be
Yeah.
like a lot, right?
Yes.
Or have you ever like picked up the phone for the call and like the whole time the person's talking about themselves and they don't even say, how are you doing? You know, that's another sign.
Hmm.
And you start to think about how many of those types of relationships do I have? And then the common denominator in all of them is you. The first thing I tell people to do is to reintroduce yourself then. You have to set new boundaries. So that means you have created a space where most of your relationships are about other people and not about you, and they're comfortable talking about themselves, coming in for what they need, and not asking you if you need anything. And so you have to shift that. And it's really hard to change boundaries mid friendship. What could happen is the person could not like you anymore because what they liked about you was your accommodating behavior.
Yeah.
But you need to know that your circle will get smaller, but it'll get better.
That's true. Because as I get older, like I've learned so much from you. I've learned so much from Nikisha. I've been so inspired by you and Nikisha. And so to have those type of friendships and then to have ones that you feel
Yeah.
like are just a total pull on your being, you can literally feel the life force leaving you. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
you can literally
Like I
feel
said,
it.
but when the phone rings, you look at it and you're like, oh, you have a moment.
Yeah.
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 You have a moment like, what now? And you have to be patient with people. Sometimes they're in a phase of life where that's happening. So
Mhm.
and you have to be honest with yourself when you are drained and not answer the phone. And maybe that's not the totality of the person. Maybe that's not their pattern, but maybe this is just
Yeah.
where they are right now. And that could last for a while depending on the person. But if that's not their normal way of being, then be patient and be gentle, but also be fair to yourself when you can't pick up that phone. But if you think back and you're like, I can't remember a time in this person's life when shit was ever good, you might have to be like, look, this person needs to
Yeah.
do some work before they can actually give in a friendship or any relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's hard.
That's hard.
Yeah,
It's super painful. It's like one of those things that I like. There are few things in my life that I avoid, and
yeah.
that's one of the things that I avoid. Like I'm like I don't even want to deal with it. I just let it.
It's like pruning, but pruning saves a plant. It makes it so that the whole plant can thrive because it's not putting resources into the dead parts. And so I think what you'll find is healthier,
Yeah.
happier friendships that are more balanced so you don't feel like so much of your energy is leaving. And I think that is important because if you think getting married and having kids or any form of that, any version of that, you will need your friends more than ever. I know you may not have the same amount of time for them, but you'll have to figure out how to
that's
make
true.
it work, because you don't get everything
Yeah.
from your partner and you don't get everything from your kids. And it's not fair to expect everything from either of them. You need balance. And your friends keep you connected to your individuality, to your individual journey. They give you a sense of identity outside of the family. And it's just really important. So, you also can't be that friend that gets booed up and disappears. Like that's not good either.
Yeah. I have a friend that I don't talk to that often. We haven't seen each other in years, but when we see each other, it's like we never
Yeah,
lost a
those are
beat.
great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and when we do text each other, it's always like, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad I text you just about how I'm feeling, because that friend is like, you know me better than anyone. And that really makes me feel good. That really makes me feel like I'm going to hold
Mm-hmm.
space for this friend, because I know that she needs someone to hold space for her right now. But I say that to say, like, as your life does get more layered and you have a partner and you get kids, that if there's a friend who you don't talk to as
Yeah.
often, but still when you guys talk, it still clicks. And it's not awkward. It just clicks. It's like you guys haven't missed a beat, like no matter how many years it's been. Then I do think that those are worth holding on to.
Oh yeah,
I think.
absolutely. And I like it because, they understand that
Yeah.
the demand has
Yeah.
changed. And so they don't judge your friendship based on like, I don't talk to you, you don't talk to me. Like they don't do that. So I think that's fair. So I hope that we dropped some nuggets. I mean, without
Yeah, I
Nikisha
hope
here, it
so.
feels weird. But
It feels like we don't have no
we have
structure.
no sense of structure right now, like none. Which I mean, this makes sense. Nikisha is we are the two like artist brain, and Nikisha is like the military homeschooling mom. Of course, we have no structure. It's like mom is gone,
Oh, so she has her
mom
fix
is
now. So
gone,
she has
and we are like, fuck it. We are like, fuck it. So this is how you learn who you are in the group. Nikisha is the one. I think that let me be real with y'all for a second. We can be real. I think if it was Keisha poking up on the thread every now and then, be like, I thought we said we was gonna do this. That scares Crystal. That scares Crystal, and so then she has to be on top of her shit because she don't want to get that text from Keisha. Like I thought we had said we was doing this. She don't want to be caught off her game. So we
Oh
see how
gosh.
valuable that is in
Oh
the moment
God,
because
no. Oh my
I
God.
literally feel like
That
we are
is so
out in the middle of the
valuable
ocean and we
because
have no idea. I just listen to y'all. I'm just hoping we did something right by you today. I'm hoping we did something right by you. If not, now you know what happens when our homeschooling military mom is not on the line. Okay. Like we don't even have an outline.
no, we don't have
That's
an
dumb
outline
thing.
today. We don't.
Crystal would have been scared not to have the outline because Nikisha would have been like, I don't see the outline in the Google Docs. Thea don't even check the Google Docs.
It's not fear. It's not fear. It's I don't want to let
It's
my
low key
friend
fear.
down. It's not
It's
fear.
low
I
key
don't
fear.
want to let my
It's low
friend
key fear,
down.
and she
That's
doesn't
really
want to
what it
look
is.
like she's not doing her job. And so when Keisha will send the nudge, and Crystal knew she was dealing with me, who don't even check the Google Docs. I don't even check the Google Docs, but the Keisha do. So
Oh,
you see,
oh
that's why we had
God.
no outline because we knew she was
Oh,
gonna be all
that
over
is
me, and
not
she
true.
was
We
not
had
gonna look
some
at
things
me.
to come up. We're supposed to do another type of show. We're supposed to do another
If
type of
Nikisha was on
show,
the slide, you
and
would
we
have had
had
that
some things
outline in the
come
Google
up, and we were
Docs. You
unable
would
to do
have
that
had that
show.
outline in the Google Docs because Nikisha would have been like, I don't see the outline.
But it's because
That is not
Nikisha
true.
needs the outline. So I
Nikisha
want to be
holds
there
the
for my
structure, is
friend. I
what
want
she
to
does.
be
That
there.
is not true. You can flip this however you want, but the reality is you don't want to get that text that's like, I don't see the outline in the Google Docs because to you that means fuck. And
Oh
it just,
God.
you know
Oh
what this
my
is.
God. Oh my God. Oh God. That's the portrait of a friendship, folks. I walked away from this episode feeling immense gratitude that my friends are allowing me to lead Dim Black Mamas podcast, and also a deeper trust in their support of me. Remember to check out our church announcements to keep up with our individual endeavors. and check out our show notes for Thea's relationship assessment tool. And be sure to order your Magic Evermore box by June 1st to receive it in time for summer solstice. And the prices will be going up after June 1st. So don't miss the magic and order your box now. For those links and all other links mentioned in this episode, take a look at our show notes on our website at dimblackmamas.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. The mothership takes off again on Sunday, May 15th. I hope that you have an abundant Mother's Day, mamas. Namaste, namaste, namaste.